talking about our effort at Edukemy, what we as a team are trying, we are not just trying to give you some information. What we are trying is to give you an idea that how do you really get into the list. We do not want any information overload on you. We also do not want to scare you from that, array case laws have started coming, you need to definitely have coaching and studies, all this. No. At Edukemy, we are trying to enable you that, see, it is highly possible thing. Of course, when you do not know something, it immediately looks as something amazing and surprising to you. Nothing, it is simple. Because you are not accustomed to that type of vocabulary, that type of terminology, that type of orientation of knowledge, that is why initial some difficulty may be coming, but otherwise there is no difficulty at all. Okay? So, and that is why we all are trying to give you such answers. Otherwise, some will say this should be there, you should talk about this. We need to be specific what you need to talk about if you want to score marks. In none of the question actually there is any difficulty, provided somebody has objectively prepared. I am using the word, now the examination preparation requires very objective preparation. On every topic you need to know the issues, how things are carried out. The name of the paper is Polity and Governance. So, how is it possible that you will not be talking of certain things which are associated with that? Like in this, if I talk about question number 3, to what extent in your opinion has the decentralization of power in India has changed the governance landscape at the grassroots? So, what immediately comes to your mind when I say decentralization of power in India and how it has changed the governance landscape at grassroots? What comes to you? The first thing that will strike you is immediately 73rd Amendment Act, correct? And that is not wrong, that is right, that is right, through which the panchayats have been given a constitutional status, okay? That is constitutionalization of the machinery of decentralization. Because when I talk of Panchayati Raj in India, I will definitely not like to forget Balwant Rai Mehta recommendations and then how PRI arrangement started in India from Nagaur district in Rajasthan on 2nd of October 1959. So, I will not like to forget that. But for sure that failed to change the landscape of governance at grassroots. There were problems associated. And as we have seen, many committees which have come for analyzing how the Panchayati Raj has been doing, how things have been operating, we all have seen that. So, we all have seen that everyone was saying that, see, panchayats are not a regular feature, they are any time the state government is giving orders for their dissolution, they are superseded, means any time at the choice, whims and fancies of the state government. So, LM Singhvi committee talked about constitutionalization, means constitutional status to the Panchayati Raj. The problem, why a constitutional status was to be given? The problem was that rural development, land and all this happens to be in state list. So, how center could have really made it as a necessary obligation on the state governments to continue with such type of development or any such machinery. That is why 73rd Amendment is talked about. Anyway, now, so you will not start this entire, you will not write this entire story, it is for your understanding that where the question was placed and how the answer was expected out of it. Okay? So, when you are talking of decentralization of power in India has changed the governance. See, do not forget to mention the essential aspect of democracy also here. Friends, if I ask you what is the difference between the administrative arrangement, polity arrangement of a monarchy and a democracy, then the arrangement is clear that in a monarchy, everyone who is in administration, everything thing that is in policy is having the idea that all powers emanate from the monarch, okay, who happens to be the sovereign there. In this case, who are the sovereign? Actually the people. So, everything should be directed towards whom? Towards the people. So, when you are talking of decentralization of power, then you can also say that modern democracy or democratic arrangement of polity in essential principle refers to that arrangement in which people have their participation in the arrangement of power. Okay? They should be having their participation, and to provide it a machinery to have an arrangement in regard to it, as per the Constitution, 73rd Amendment Act has been a milestone, correct? 73rd and 74th, that also, that has been the milestone. But now, what has changed with it? Whether they really have been able to bring some sort of changes with them, then you will talk of that most of RDPs means Rural Development Programs. Most of the RDPs are seen implemented through whom? Through PRIs. Okay? So, most of the RDPs are seen implemented through Panchayati Raj institutions. How they have ensured the development of infrastructure, and then also do not forget that under MG Narega also the role of panchayats is highly significant. And then when you are talking of this, also talk of social audit. So, how the landscape of governance has changed, because these things have become possible. From one factor only you are talking about it. Reservation for women in at the level of panchayats, and of course under 74th Amendment Act also, somewhere has ensured that the equality in terms of political power, somewhere the gates have been opened for their entry, so that they surely become the participants in the process of governance. Then localization of SDGs, then dispute resolution through Gram Nyaya Act 2008. Okay? Now, you will see the story that we start with. I think you understand what is this Gram Nyaya. Still I will give you an idea. We started with the idea of development panchayats. Okay? So, 73rd Amendment is for development panchayats. It is not associated with resolving of disputes. Might have been shown in movies, any movie that you may be remembering, they are resolving dispute. It is not expected. It is not expected. Dispute resolution requires knowledge of jurisprudence. So, how justice is to be given, how things are to be analyzed, and how justice is to be given, this is when we understand the concept of dispute resolution, that we talk about it. So, when I understand that how dispute resolution is done, so then you will talk that we started from development panchayats, but in order to take governance further at the grassroots, even in regard to dispute resolution, we came out with Gram Nyaya Act 2008. And for your information, it can also handle both civil and criminal cases. Only thing that whenever the Gram Nyaya will be sitting, then at that time a judicial officer will be present there. Okay? But it is an arrangement for quick disposal. It is an arrangement for quick disposal of cases, disputes related to land. So, the core idea is that the people at the grassroots they participate in all the processes. If I say panchayat, so they participate in rule making. Then through Gram Sabha, they should also become the participants in the implementation, which PRI members will be doing with the help of development officers in that area. Then you see, it has also been a way of achieving social justice, social development, economic development at the basic levels, infrastructure development. Everything is happening because people are participants of the power. Dispute resolution, localization of SDGs, this is what you should be. You should have written an easy question. As I said, only the dimensions were expected in 150 words. How do you write it? So, talk from the essence of or importance of decentralization in a democracy, and then also talk about, you can also talk about something like Niti Aayog here, that even Niti Aayog in its basic document through which it has been established, straight away talks of governance at the grassroots when it says that planning should start at the grassroots level and higher levels should only be the aggregating levels. That also you could have mentioned, and then you could have said that how this sort of decentralization in planning, decentralization through 73rd Amendment Act, this is what was the examiner was expecting out of you. Okay. So, if I say in the answer, you can also talk about Niti Aayog, that also should be talked, and that you can talk here only when you talk of democracy and essential value of empowerment and enablement. These things cannot happen till the time we do not go for decentralization. So, decentralization is nothing but the vehicle to achieve it, to achieve the spirit of democracy. And then you can also talk about Niti Aayog, talking of planning starting at grassroots level and higher levels acting as aggregating levels. And then straight away come to this and talk about these in points, and your answer would have been there. So, friends, what you are seeing in the few questions which we have discussed till here, specific words are important, specific terms are important, specific knowledge is important. Okay? This is what we have been seeing. You cannot come to these questions without having objective information. You need to talk about the things in a very objective manner, and that is why we say marking of UPSC is very, very objective. Some may be saying UPSC is uncertain Public Service Commission. Not at all. It is the most certain thing and one of the best examination that anyone can prepare for is this civil services examination. And prelims is also very good. Mains is definitely one of the toughest examination, or even if I say it is the toughest examination of the world. It really takes out the cream. And what is that cream? Cream simply means those who are not sleeping on the issues around themselves, rather those who have objective clarity in those issues, that how the things have been organized, what are the problems in them, what has been said about them, what we need to do. Okay? That is where we talk about them.